Hey everyone, Adam Mishan here, singer, songwriter, and vocal coach, and today we're going to be talking about vocal cord compression.
Run, run, lost boy, they say to me.
What is it? It's when the vocal cords press together, how much pressure there is between the vocal cords as air flows through them. Now, in addition to the vocal cords meeting together and vibrating together, there is a depth factor of how much of the thickness of the vocal cords are meeting when they're vibrating. So you can have very light compression where just the inner edges of the vocal cords are vibrating. And then you can have a much thicker compression, a much stronger compression where the full thickness of the vocal cords are vibrating together. And so this level of press together as the air flows through is the description of compression. Now there's an important distinction to make. Some people will talk about vocal compression in a studio setting. That means applying an effect called compression to a vocal. This is very different. That type of compression is evening out the audio signal, taking the louder sounds and making them quieter, and taking the quieter sounds and making them louder, which then makes things a lot more even and steady. Now, this is not the vocal cord compression that we're talking about. The vocal cord compression is something that's created in our bodies, not in a studio with an effect. So how do we create compression? Compression is done at varying different levels with the vocal cords. So I want you to get a feel for the different types of compression. Let's look at light compression. So very light touching of the vocal cords. Can you do that with me? Think a lot of breath as you do this sound. This is what we would call a very light compression. There's not a lot of press between the vocal cords that's forcing them to come together. It's a very gentle inner edges of the vocal cords touching, not the full thickness of the cord. Now let's try the opposite extreme. Let's try to really intensify that sound and make it feel overly pushed. So we're going to an extreme here. Neither of these are the sounds that we're looking for, but experiencing the extremes can help us find that midpoint. So let's try try that sound. So that is overcompression. Too much press between the vocal cords is going to lead to that very squeezed, almost like old man type of sound. You're going to get that. And so you can kind of play around with that. Very little compression. A lot of compression. So feel out those differences. If you want to sing with more confidence and power, then you have to sign up for my lesson subscription. You get 2 group lessons with me personally every single week. You get access to all my courses, and you get access to recordings of all my one-on-one lessons with my students. That will help you learn vicariously through them. Click the link down below to sign up now. Now what I want you to do is try to find that midpoint between those two. So we're going to go Feel out those different levels of compression. Now we're going to try to apply that to a scale. So we're going to go very little compression, just the inner edges of the vocal cords touching. Now we're going to try the opposite. We're going to go over compressed. We don't want to sing with that sound for too long. Now let's try to find that balance in between. Good. Next one. Very little compression. Too much compression. Good balance in between. It's going to be hard to do that at the higher pitches, but just try to roll with me, and it doesn't matter if it doesn't sound good. So that was heavy compression. Now let's do balance. Now let's try light again. Strong. There's too much there. Good. Now we're going to do a step higher. Good. It's going to be hard to create that because as we go higher, the voice wants to release more. And by overcompressing the vocal cords, we're not letting it release. So that's something to keep in mind. It's not a finished sound, but we want to go to Good. Now let's go a step higher. Light compression. Heavy compression. Middle compression. one? Good. So as you feel this out in your voice, trying to mimic me as closely as possible, you're going to find that you'll be able to find all 3 of those compression levels. So you may be asking yourself now, are there just 3 compression levels? No, not really. There's actually an unlimited amount of compression levels in the voice. We can go anywhere from we can go anywhere in between those compression levels, and each one of those kind of marks in between is a different compression level. So learn to feel out those varying levels of compression in your voice and experience what that midpoint is. We want to always try to find more of that midpoint as our grounding zone. We want to use that to then springboard ourselves into the different aspects of our voice. So sometimes we might use a little more compression, sometimes we might use a little bit less compression, but we're always starting with that midpoint. This exercise is really going to help you find that midpoint, because often people aren't willing or open to trying these weird extreme noises. The more you're willing and able to put yourself into these weird extreme noises, the easier it's going to become. Now, one singer that I believe is the king of compression is Sam Smith. He is incredible at using varying degrees of compression in a single line. Let's take I'm Not the Only One as an example. You and me, we made a vow. Now, when I do this example, I'm not going to stick exactly to the way he does it in the original, but I'm going to try to show you what varying levels of compression will do to your voice. You and me, we made a vow. So in that one line, I'm using varying levels of compression. You, much more breathy, much more light compression. We don't have a lot of squeeze. And me, balance. We made more light a vow, much more intense. You and me, we made a vow. So we're playing around with compression even within one line, changing it through different words. Now, Sam does a much better job than I do, and listen to his song for an even more in-depth clarity on what that sounds like. But now that you know what to listen for, when you listen to it, it's going to be like you're listening to it with brand new ears. You'll know exactly what those varying compression levels are in his voice because of being primed in this video to find and listen for those sounds in particular. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, hit the like button down below. If you want to see more videos like this, check out that one right there. You're going to like it. I just know. I know these things. You're going to like that one. Click it, enjoy, and keep on singing.